Hi guys, the far-right rely heavily on a media that will not call them out. Nigel Farage has gotten away with this for years. And now with the rise of right-wing media like GB News and Talk TV, unsavoury figures on the extremes of politics know that they can throw out any old figure and it will go unchallenged. And this seeps into the mainstream. Someone who's very good at pushing false narratives and misinformation is Matthew Goodwin. He is on a right-wing crusade against immigration and is willing to throw out figures to drive up hate and anger towards asylum seekers, or as he likes to call them, illegal migrants. However, this is where good journalism is needed. So Mehdi Hasan from Al Jazeera called out Goodwin on the issue of housing.
You said on GB News, for example, falsely, and I quote, "More than 50% of social housing in London is now occupied by people who are not British. This is not acceptable." Well, forget not being acceptable. It's not true.
I think it's about that. I think it's about 47, 48%.
It's not actually. The percentage of people who are not British in London social housing is about 14%. No. 85% of people are British citizens.
No, so my view would be, in terms of housing, we're in the middle of a housing crisis.
Notice he doesn't acknowledge the point that was raised here. You're lying to the public. See, the thing is, he can go on the likes of GB News and say figures like over 50% of people on social housing are not British citizens and get away with it because the hosts either don't know this information or frankly don't care about the truth. So what happens is he regurgitates this line constantly and it seeps into the mainstream. And then ordinary people seem to think, oh, over 50% of people on social housing are non-British citizens, which is false.
So I think we should have a principle of national preference in our housing market.
We do. 85% of people in London are British who are in social housing.
No,
you falsely said that more than 50% are not British. That's false.
No, across the country, more generally.
Across the country, it's 90% according to the Ministry of Housing.
When we were allocating social housing, we also used to take into account things like commitment to the community, looking after property, etc. We don't really do that anymore.
That's a fair point. That's not what you said, though. I just want to go with what you said, Matt, with respect. More than 50% of social housing in London is now occupied by people who are not British. That is not true.
I'd need to look at the statistics.
We have the statistics. According to the London government,
I also wrote
the figure in London is 84%. According to the 2021 census data, only 14% of Londoners living in social housing did not hold a UK passport.
What you need to do is you need to ask Goodwin, where did you receive this figure from? See, there's no point him saying, well, I haven't seen the figures or I don't know what you're talking about. You need to ask him where he came up with his figure from. See, that's the problem. He can put out all these figures. They need to be challenged. It's good that you actually challenge him in this way and say, look, you're wrong. Here is the data. But you also need to ask him, where are you getting your data from? Show us the figures, because he doesn't have any figures. It's all invented. It's all invented numbers in order to make people angry.
This has been pointed out to you for the last year.
No, it hasn't.
In fact, you went back on GB News and corrected it and said 48% go to people who are headed by people who are not born in Britain, which is a different point. But you would accept the vast majority of people in social housing are British.
I'd need to look at the data.
I've got the data.
No.
It's right
but
here.
The fact that 48, I think the 48,
copied and pasted.
I think the fact that 48% of social housing in this country has gone to families that are headed by somebody who was not born in the country is a problem.
So that's a different argument, with respect.
Well,
and let's talk about that argument.
Well, let's have that.
No, let's have that argument. You were wrong on the first point.
I don't think I was wrong on the first
point. You're 100% wrong.
Well, I'd like to look at the data.
The Mayor of London, the census data.
I don't think the Mayor of London would be a credible source on that.
Of course. See, what you're doing is now denying the data. You're not actually presenting your own data. See, this is something that you shouldn't allow him to get away with either. Oh, well, I don't believe the data from the Mayor of London. I don't believe the data from the OBR. I don't believe the data from the National Statistics Office. I don't believe the data that you're presenting me. Then show us where your data is coming from. That's what we need to be doing.
Okay, so the London government. The London government don't know who the... All right, how about...
It's a highly political figure.
All right, how about the Ministry of Housing, 90%...
See, once again, what he's trying to do is politicize the figures instead of actually presenting his own. Oh, look, how can we trust the Mayor of London? He's left-wing. How can we trust the figures that are coming out of the mayoral office? It's skewed against the British people. They're left-wing figures. This fake news. This is what they're trying to do. They're trying to sow division here. They're trying to sow doubt. Trying to convince people, you shouldn't follow the figures that are being presented by the Mayor of London. You shouldn't be looking at the figures that are being presented by central government or local government. because there's a bias there. Instead of actually being challenged on his figures.
Of social homes go to UK nationals. You're making some sweeping claims and they're wrong.
See, it's great that people like him are called out, but they need to be truly challenged. They need to be asked, where are you getting your data from? Show us your data so we can look at it and we can scrutinize it. I have my data, here you can have a look at it, but you're willing to dismiss it. Then what's stopping us from dismissing your data? But you don't actually have anything to dismiss because you're not presenting anything. See, these people are extremely dangerous. Goodwin and others like him, and Farage. What they'll do is they'll seed doubt in the minds of the public. They'll put out a narrative that a majority of people in housing, social housing, are non-British. And they know that it will go unchallenged on certain outlets. And until it's unchallenged, it has free rein to run rampant and seep into the minds of the public. And then ordinary people who have no problem with immigration or no problem with asylum seekers suddenly wake up and realize, oh my goodness, look, why are so many asylum seekers getting into social housing? There's a problem there. We need to do something about it. And then, of course, they'll hear people like Goodwin reinforcing this point. And what is Goodwin's solution? Well, we need to close the borders. We need to force these people out. We shouldn't be allowing these people in the first place. When in reality, these people are not a problem. He's inventing a problem, a phantom menace. And his right-wing cohort are the ones who are the only people who will deal with it. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.